Sometimes when you mix a song for a while, it's really hard to know if the changes you're making are good or bad. You start to lose perspective that can really affect your mood and confidence when you're in the middle of a project. In an earlier episode, I mentioned how our progress is based on the opinions of others, hopefully people that we trust, but that might not always be the best way to go. Because there's another way that we can check our own progress, by being against songs that we think sound amazing. Referencing amazing mixes is one of the most important tools that you can use when trying to check your progress, because it gives you something to go back and compare to over and over again. And the first time you reference might be a really sad time, because you might come to the realization that you're further off than you thought. By the end of this video, you'll know the top 10 metal mixes of 2021 and the reason why you should be referencing. So what's happening, fam? Miami here with JST, and today we're going to be listening to my top 10 songs to reference this year in the metal world. These mixes vary in style and sound and span across the metal genres, but are amazing go-tos to see if you're on the right track. Once you get into the habit of referencing songs that you fall in love with, you'll eventually start referencing your own mixes. This becomes extremely important once you start doing label work, because they are often coming to you for a specific sound, and by comparing to your own portfolio, you can always make sure that you nail it. And putting these in order was almost impossible, because they're literally the best of the best to me. So don't come after me. It's just my opinion. Coming in at number 10 and extremely well deserved, Viljarda, Penny Royal Poison. What's crazy about this mix is how crushing the guitars are while maintaining an extreme thickness in the mids. Usually having this mid-heavy of a guitar tone wouldn't be my first go-to, but Buster Oldham has a way of making it sound extremely aggressive, also making sure that it doesn't fight with the bass. Long live the Kings of Thal. Crystal clear atmospheric tones, as well as a kick that hits you in the chest and screams that seem like more of an instrument than a vocal. Guaranteed that this was going to be on the list. Coming in at number 9, Gojira, Born for One Thing. Now, I'm going to be honest. I never personally have been a fan of Gojira, but it would be ignorant for me to act like this isn't one of the best metal mixes of the year. The arrangement of this song definitely lends itself to the mix. Side note, I want to point out that it's nice that we're getting away from the world of really present rhythm guitars in metal. It's slowly been changing over the years, and I welcome it. The takeaways from this song are more natural style of production compared to the previous track, and how well the drums are gelled together. Notice how well they move as a unit. Instead of thinking of kick, snare, or cymbals sounding really good, we're more so left with the impression that the drums just sound amazing as a whole. The other takeaway is the perfect balance of lead guitars and bass. Overall, extremely well balanced song. On to the next. Coming in at number 8, and no surprise, Spirit Box, Holy Roller. This is basically the definition of a perfect metalcore mix. Pretty sure this was mixed by Dan Braunstein. This was on Nail the Mix, so you can actually watch how it was mixed and deconstruct it yourself. I'm not gonna lie, I used to just open these sessions from Nail the Mix, copy them one-to-one, and then have my own version of a reference mix to use on my own songs by the stems instead of the whole song. Just some food for thought, people. Coming in at number 7, Lorna Shore, To the Hellfire. I had to bring this back even though it was in my list of heaviest breakdowns, because it was also one of the best mixes this year. Side note, this was completely mixed in Reaper, so Reaper gang, there's still some hope for us. Standouts for this, definitely the vocal mix. The snare is a bit more on top of the mix in certain points of the song, so I would use this as a song to pay attention to automation. Watch how the parts move and change throughout the sections. An instant classic. Coming in at number 6, Archbire, Drone Corpse Aviator. This is the perfect example of what drum samples should sound like on a song in extreme metal. Perfectly executed in a bass low end that never gets in the way of the kick drum. Another thing to point out is even at the speed of these guitars, the bassist and the drummer, you can hear every single note even when the vocal is thrown into the mix. Clarity is hardly ever heard in extreme metal mixes like this. Only people that get this perfect, in my opinion, are like Dave Otero and Buster Oldham. Coming in at number 5, Attack Attack, Brachia Bombshell. The first thing I'll say is this seems a bit wider than some of the previous songs, and it's partially due to the song arrangement, but also Joey's style of mixing. As far as guitar references, this is a good one for people that step away from a 57 on a cab and use condensers. Listen to this one and notice it's a bit more cutting than the common off-axis 57. The perfect blend of cinematic effects, synth, and upfront vocals, you know, it's kind of reminiscent of Bring Me the Horizon in a mixing sense. It's also a perfect reference for those using amp sims and strictly drum samples, with a very slick, modern style of production. Coming in number 4, Arch Enemy, Deceiver, Deceiver. This should surprise no one. Jacob Hansen is behind some of the biggest and best mixes across metal in general. You can hear the modern production in this one, but it still sounds more natural than most of the songs on this list. Stands out on this list are the perfect guitar tones, you know, shout out to Jeff Loomis, the perfect amount of space left for vocals throughout the track, and the perfect style of snare reverb and the top and bottom blend. Go listen to the full thing and pay close attention. Also, when the chugging comes in, it never invades the mix in a non-pleasing way. Coming in at number 3, At the Gates, Spectre of Instinction. Jens Bogren might be the greatest mixer in metal right now. His catalog could literally be used for reference mixes all by themselves. The man does not miss. Pay attention to how this track moves. It's not that anything sticks out specifically, but altogether sounds cohesive and gelled in a way that makes you know that it's a Bogren mix. The low mids in his mixes are always perfect, and there's no exception here. What I appreciate is that they didn't go for an overly clicky kick sound, and it's not the type of mix that shoved the drums in our faces. Like, notice they're a little pushed back, but it's still a perfect balance if you ask me. A place for everything and everything in its place. Coming in at number 2, Architects, Dead Butterflies. Pay attention to the compression all throughout this track. It's extremely smooth, and the orchestral arrangement is blended perfectly. But back to the compression. You can tell that soloed, each of these buses hold up on their own. The instruments are working together, but not moving together. And it's interestingly different than something, let's say, Chris Lord-Alge would do. It's a great reference track if you're trying to figure ways of blending effects, orchestral instruments, pianos, etc., and making sure that they have their own space. Coming in at number 1, Trivium, Feast of Fire. Now, having dialed in a guitar tone for Matt Heafy before, I know how unique his tone is regardless of what amp you're using. If you want an episode on that, make sure to let me know in the comments. Might be kind of hard because of label stuff, but I can give it a shot. Anyways, the guitar tone is perfect. The vocals are perfect. This is basically a masterclass in vocal layer blending. The split bass is at the perfect crossover point. I don't know what more somebody could ask for. So yes, these are my top 10 metal mixes of 2021. Find whatever song here is closest to the track that you're working on and give it a shot to see if it helps you gain some perspective on what you might be doing wrong or right in a song that you're working on. Hopefully this brings you one step closer to having your perfect mix. If you're an engineer on the come up, give this video a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. You only have to do it one time, and tap that bell for notifications so when a video drops, you know the location. Until next time, I am out of here. Mic drop. Except as engineers we know, I'd never really drop this thing. Except for the time that I just did. Let's see, how much these things run? They're like $70. Catch you guys later.